Have you ever noticed how some young women seem fascinated by older men, while others barely get noticed? No, it's not just about money. And it's definitely not because they have daddy issues, like a lot of people like to say. There's a secret behind this attraction, a silent code that few people understand. But once you master it, it completely changes the way women see you. The most curious part? This secret has nothing to do with your looks or your age, but with something you give off without saying a single word. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why young women feel magnetically drawn to older men, and how you can use this to your advantage without changing who you are. If you're over 30, 40, or even 50, this could be a total game changer for you. Young women have a very different perception than people think when it comes to being attracted to older men. Many assume the attraction is driven by financial stability, but there's something much deeper going on. The truth is, young women seek emotional maturity and clarity in their relationships. They want someone who's lived enough to know what really matters and what doesn't. Older men with life experience know how to handle tough situations without losing their cool. They've been through ups and downs. They have stories to tell, and they know how to stay calm under pressure. That's something women find incredibly attractive. To them, a man who knows what he wants and doesn't panic when facing challenges is rare and very valuable. On top of that, an older man tends to communicate in a more direct and assertive way, something many young women admire. No games or hints. They get tired quickly of immature men who don't know what they want or keep hesitating. When a man expresses himself confidently, without beating around the bush, and shows he knows what he's talking about, he catches their attention effortlessly. Of course, that doesn't mean an older man is perfect or flawless, but he knows how to deal with imperfections in a way that conveys confidence. He understands that mistakes happen and that the key is learning from them. That makes a mature man not only attractive, but trustworthy. And that's essential for any lasting relationship. Ever noticed how some men aren't even the best looking in the room, yet they still manage to grab women's attention? That's because they're not trying to impress anyone. They just radiate confidence in what they do, what they say, and how they carry themselves. Confidence is a silent energy field that speaks louder than any speech or polished appearance. And no, confidence is not the same as arrogance. It shows up in small actions. Steady eye contact during a conversation, how you lead a dialogue, how you handle a differing opinion without feeling the need to prove yourself. Women pick up on these nuances, even if subconsciously. They respond more to what you project internally than to your external image. A man who feels good about himself doesn't need to compete. He knows he doesn't need constant approval. And that lack of need, that freedom to please only himself, is magnetic. Contrary to what many think, trying too hard to please often has the opposite effect. A man who projects confidence makes it clear, I am enough. And that is powerful. So tell me, do you believe you project that kind of confidence? Or are you always trying to prove yourself? Leave your answer in the comments. And be honest, this kind of reflection can open doors to a whole new phase in your life. Most men believe that once they hit 40, they start losing ground to younger guys. But for many women, what really makes a difference isn't age itself. It's how you carry the years you've lived. An experienced man gives off a vibe that says, I've seen the world, and I'm still standing strong. That has nothing to do with being old. It has to do with value. A woman can tell if you're a man who takes care of himself, who has his own sense of style, who speaks with presence and knows how to make a decision, whether it's choosing the wine at dinner or handling a tough situation. That kind of behavior doesn't come from youth. It comes from the journey. It's the difference between someone trying to look interesting and someone who simply is interesting. Men who get this stop trying to hide their age and start using it as an advantage. They don't try to dress like younger guys or talk like them. Quite the opposite. They own their space. They know who they are, they know what they like, and they have the guts to not follow the crowd. That's what makes a man stand out. And originality is incredibly attractive. So, when a young woman feels drawn to an older man, it's not about nostalgia. It's because she sees in him a life that's already built, a foundation already laid. She senses that she won't have to teach him the basics or spell out the obvious, and that pulls her in far more intensely than any talk about the ideal age. There's something irresistible about a man who lives with purpose. And we're not talking about blind ambition or social status. We're talking about true purpose, the kind of motivation that guides a man's choices day by day, the reason he wakes up and faces the world with his head held high. That kind of energy is contagious and deeply attractive to a young woman. She can tell when a man is centered. It shows in the way he talks about his projects, in the consistency of his actions, and even in the sparkle in his eyes when he mentions something he loves doing. It doesn't matter if it's entrepreneurship, art, hands-on work, or teaching. What matters is that he lives for something that moves him, and that movement is inspiring. His presence carries weight. Women want to connect with something bigger than just a relationship. They want to be part of a story that's being written. When a man has a well-defined purpose, he's not obsessed with attention or hungry for validation. He's busy creating, building, evolving. And that naturally makes her want to be around. She's not attracted to what he does, but to what he represents. He becomes a point of stability in the chaos, someone she can grow with, not someone she has to teach how to grow. That contrast is powerful because it shows he's not just living. He's leading his own journey, and women feel alive next to a man like that. Even with all the modern talk of independence, many women are still guided by a silent instinct, the desire for protection. That doesn't mean they want to be controlled or rescued. It means they want to feel they're beside someone who brings emotional safety and behavioral stability. It's unconscious but deeply real. When a young woman gets close to an older man, she's not looking for someone to solve all her problems. What she wants is to know that, when the world gets tough, he won't fall apart with it. She watches his posture, how he reacts under pressure, how he deals with setbacks. All of that reveals whether or not he's trustworthy. This kind of protection isn't physical. It's mental, emotional, and even energetic. It's in the way you make her feel with a calm comment, or the right silence at the right moment. Men who carry that kind of strong presence without ever raising their voice awaken in her a deep sense of trust. She doesn't need to explain it. She just feels it. In times of fragile relationships and unstable people, that kind of steadiness has become rare. That's why when a woman finds a man who represents that kind of safe harbor, even if she won't admit it, she won't want to let go so easily. Not out of need, but out of desire. And that desire is what puts you a step ahead of any other guy. In trying to please younger women, many older men end up abandoning their essence. They try to dress like 20-something boys, mimic slang, force a social media presence, or try too hard to seem cool. But the result is the opposite. Instead of seeming interesting, they come off as fake, and even needy. The problem isn't taking care of your appearance or staying up to date. The mistake is trading authenticity for acceptance. When a man gives up what makes him unique just to fit into a mold that isn't his, he loses his greatest asset, his well-built individuality. Young women notice that, and when they do, they lose interest. What really attracts isn't how young you look. It's how comfortable you are with who you are today. If you understand your worth, dress with identity, and speak with honesty, that creates way more impact than any effort to appear as something you're not. Women aren't looking for a reflection of themselves. They're looking for contrast, novelty, depth. So if your goal is to connect with younger women, the way isn't to try to fit in. It's to fully own your role as a mature, grounded, and authentic man. That stance doesn't just make you stand out, it demands both respect and desire at the same time, because self-confidence never goes out of style, and it definitely doesn't need a filter. Most older men underestimate their own power. Many think age is a setback when in fact, it can be your biggest competitive edge, if you know how to use it wisely. You don't need to compete with youth. You need to offer what it doesn't have. depth, perspective, and self-mastery. That's what puts you on a whole different level. The advantage isn't just in experience, it's in how you turn that experience into consistent action. While many young guys still act on impulse, the mature man chooses his words, measures his actions, and moves with intention. That difference creates an impact that goes way beyond looks or status. It's about energy, presence, influence. For that advantage to work, you first need to break the old habit of shrinking yourself. No more jokes about being too old or using age as an excuse. Young women who are into older men don't want to see insecurity. They want a natural leader, not someone who asks for permission to exist. Use your age as a mark of quality. Carry yourself with posture. Express your opinions clearly. Share stories with purpose. Show that time has refined you, not worn you down. When you understand that value, you don't need to convince anyone. Your presence speaks for itself, and that's when the game quietly shifts in your favor.